Hi, it's Rich Tehrani in the TMC Newsroom. Thanks for watching. On our program today is Michael Emerton. He's a partner at BridgeView Marketing. I'm excited to have him on our show because he and his company represent kind of I'd have to say like a 2.0 in terms of public relations, and what he and his team have done has really they've embraced social media, they've embraced web, they've embraced search engine optimization, and they integrate that into kind of like I'd say a next-gen PR company. But I don't want to steal his thunder too much, and I may have stolen too much. I'll give you a little bit of time, Mike, in your own words. Tell us more about your company and maybe touch on what I discussed and amplify what I may have missed.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you for having us in today. It's a pleasure. And really, BridgeView Marketing, you can kind of look at us as how you couch it. We are a new version of a marketing company. We bring in PR, we bring in social media, we bring in search engine optimization. And really what it's all folded into, it's folded into a better way to tap into how people consume information today. Because as we know, consuming information today is spread across a number of different mediums.
So I've noticed in the last 10 years especially that companies have unbelievable desires in terms of being on the leading edge of technology and the leading edge of social, but at the same time they have unbelievable budget restraints at the same time. So they're trying to grow in a huge way and take advantage of some of these new digital technologies, or relatively new digital technologies, but at the same time their resources are really, really constrained. And so to me that seems like the area where agencies come in, an agency like yours, to kind of augment or enable an in-house company or an in-house PR team or an in-house marketing team. Is that where you see yourself as adding the value?
Absolutely. So we are a value add to an existing, let's say, in-house marketing organization that may have had a little bit of expertise in terms of dabbling in some of the social media. They may have also had some expertise in terms of spreading the communication out a little bit more across some other mediums, but they don't spend 24/7 dissecting it and really understanding it, and that's kind of where we come in. So we help augment what they're doing and raise that bar for them so they are showing up in terms of the social media conversations where their customers are asking the questions about their products, about their goods and services. We also make sure that their content is being able to consume on mobile devices, which is huge, because Apple in this year right now is poised to sell 116 million smartphones and 55 million iPads. So, I mean, just the market's exploding in terms of the way the individual is consuming this information. We've got to be smarter about it in terms of how we attack it and position it.
Now, companies have traditionally looked at PR as an expense. It's been very difficult for them to measure the effectiveness of public relations, but in the last 5 to 10 years, we obviously, those of us who are in the marketing field or analyze the marketing field or speak with marketers know that there's this intense, especially in tech, there's this intense pressure to justify every dollar being spent, especially on something that's intangible like public relations. So the question is, how do companies cross the chasm of knowing that they need to do PR, put out press releases, but at the same time make presentations to their bosses or even justify to themselves that they're spending money effectively in this 2012 economy where there needs to be justification on everything?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. And if you and I were having this conversation 10 years ago, or maybe even a little bit more in the go-go days of high tech, virtually it seemed to be unlimited budget. And the whole mindset back then was, if I do a press release and I send it out on the wire and I target the Associated Press, I've done my job. And everyone's happy, right? But today, with the shrinking budgets and the way the economy is today, people are looking at and scrutinizing every one of those dollars. So when they allocate something to PR, which was viewed as a kind of a nebulous but yet necessary evil, if you will, within the corporation, they're now saying, tell me how it's working. Prove to me that it's working. Where are the leads coming in from this? don't just show me a clipbook anymore, because I need to find something tangible in my hand so that then I can go justify the allocation of these dollars. And learning what's working out well is just as important as learning what's not working well. So one of the ways that BridgeView attacks this is when we do a release, we do it in a form that's it's actually geared to go out to the web, to go out to the news sources of the web. It has video embedded in it, pictures embedded in it. It has hyperlinks embedded in it that all lead trails. It creates a digital breadcrumb trail that goes back to the client site. So when this goes out over the web, it pleases the way the web crawlers, the indexers that go out there and say, all right, this is relevant content, this is good news, I'm going to rank it higher on my organic searches relative to the keywords that you're chasing. So when this goes out onto the web, you actually own the first page of a Google or a Bing or a Yahoo, and that news release shows up right on there so that we can report and we can track and we can measure it and we can follow those leads back down to the source, so we can bring it to the client and say, yeah, you spent X amount of money for this type of service, but here's the amount of leads that are coming back. And that helps justify that.
So there was a time that a press release that did not turn into articles was wasted, and that energy and effort was wasted because unless you consider the branding value in the minds of the reporters and editors that may have seen the headline or scanned through it. Yeah. But for the most part, you put out a press release, if no one, it's like a tree falling in the woods, right? If no one sees it, no one hears it, right. Does it matter? Did it happen? And the reality now is what you're telling me is that even if a company puts out a release and it's not picked up, the release itself can be powerful as a search engine optimization tool that, like you said, leaves a trail of breadcrumbs back to an organization's website, yep, or microsites or community pages, et cetera. Yeah, right?
Absolutely. And that's one of the best ways to take a look at it. It's all about how we consume this information. And the PR practitioner today needs to understand the various ways that people are going to consume the information so that they can be more intelligent in terms of positioning their clients within the information. Facebook, there's 800 million users on Facebook. There are 200 million users on Twitter right now. There's 150 million users on LinkedIn. These are the audiences that you have to get a hold of. So when you put a news release out, it's not just putting it out over a wire. It's about how do you integrate that with the whole social media? How do you take a news release that could be 500 words or so, and how do you shrink it down into 140 characters to get it out there and to get the retweets and to get a bit.ly link in there so you can drive that back? And then you have to think about, well, how do I expand on it maybe a little bit more and move it through a LinkedIn community? And that LinkedIn community is just talking about what that relevant content is. How do you move it through there? And then, of course, at the end of the day, how do you track it all? How do you monitor it all?
So your company is BridgeView Marketing, so you really consider yourself a next-generation PR company, but you use the word marketing in your name to articulate the fact that you are not just PR, but today PR has grown beyond public relations to include search engine optimization and pieces of marketing that traditionally were not related to public relations.
Absolutely, correct? Because when we looked at this, PR, marketing, social media, and SEO, it's too long to fit on a business card. So we had to put it into the marketing, which is that overall term. But by following all that and integrating it tightly into what we're doing, the ability for the customer, which is the end game, to see what's working, how it's working, and actually inevitably get the leads out of it so that they can work with their sales team and act upon it so that we can come to any one client and say, here are all the people that visited your website. Here are the pages that they looked at. Here's the amount of time on the site. Here's how many times they were on the site. Here's where they came from. They came from LinkedIn. They came from Facebook. They came from TMC.net. What you do when you put out a news release, when you have a reporter and they do a story, and you have those hyperlinks back to, let's say, a client's site from the story, that's what pleases those Google crawlers. That's what pleases those web indexes. And they go out there and they say, you're a long-term gain for a client. Having something posted in there means that's going to live out on the web longer than, let's say, a news release. The news release is a short-term game. It's going to be there about 3-4 days. Number one placements on top pages. But having something within tmc.net, it's actually going to kind of raise that up, and it's going to drag all the other links up with it a little bit. So it's going to live out there a little bit longer. And you got to understand how all this works, how those cogs work together, to elevate everything up.
Yeah, we actually on TMCnet get a lot of requests for companies. They'll send us press releases, and they hope that we'll carry forward the links. And that's always the challenge for a media company is what links do you carry forward, and you want the links to be useful to the reader, and you also want them to be logical in terms of the keywords that they're linked to. And so that's why it's always interesting how media companies have to also work with these press releases. And what do? Some will strip out the code, some won't strip out the HTML code, some will use the videos, some won't. I happen to think videos in a blog entry or videos in an article are very useful. So I appreciate press releases that give us easy access to photos and give us easy access to videos.
Yeah.
So now you've got a few areas of focus. What are they?
Yeah.
Your company?
So we're steeped in PR. That's where we pretty much grew up. And now we're adding other things such as SEO. So the search engine optimization. One of the first things we ask a client when we bring them on, we say, what are your keywords? When someone's out there doing some kind of an organic search, Google, Bing, Yahoo, what's the phrases they put in? What are the product names? Not your company name, but someone who's looking for your services but doesn't know your company, doesn't know that you're offering them. And many times companies know this, which is great. Sometimes they don't. Knowing your keywords is the minimum buy-in to everything that we were just discussing to kick it off and make sure it happens. So from an SEO perspective, we make sure that they understand the keywords, and then we start to work with them and make sure those keywords are integrated in the website, which is huge. Now that getting all this in the website and getting all those playing off of each other, now what you're doing, you get more to that long-term game that we're talking about. So now with a fully optimized website, you're more apt to show up higher on the rankings. And it probably takes about a couple months to fully optimize a website to the extent that you're seeing a majority of first page placements within these organic searches. But after that, you've got to tweak it up. It's just like any other engine. Once you drive it for a little while, you got to add some oil, you got to tweak it up, you got to make sure you're doing the right things for the keywords. Right. But we can keep you on top of those organic searches and those pages.
Now, how about the sectors of the market you're in? You're in technology, energy. Is there what other one? Is it communications?
Well, we're primarily in technology, but we do have clients in energy and let's say solar energy, for example, power management, data centers, those type of things.
Now, how many releases that you see are optimized really well based on just the criteria you're looking for? In other words, what percentage of releases are good releases that are being put out on the wires?
Yeah, in general, the overall market, I would say a very small percent are actually optimized to the extent that they have the impact that they should when they go out. I think most PR agencies are still playing it old term. They're just doing news releases, and they're written to go out over the AP.
Excellent. Well, now I guess we've given a great reason for the viewers to reach out and to ask more questions from your company, because it sounds like a lot of press releases could use a lot of improvement out there.
It's been a lot of fun. It really is.
Thanks for being here today.
All right, thank you.